and a little bit of a roll around. Both of those players are inside the circle. And again, just like you said, now we're seeing some birdie opportunities.
Yeah, and I don't think Jessica necessarily wanted to take the inside route. She wasn't able to get her full flight out of that. I think the outside route would have given her a couple extra feet, maybe pushed her a little closer to the basket.
I think right here, Vanessa deliberately taking that inside route, leaving it a little bit low. And you can see from well, it's tough from this view, but there's a little bit of a low right there. It kind of goes low and then back up. You want to hit right on top of the back up part, and it feeds you right down to the pin.
Exactly. It's, yeah, perfectly placed little hill right there to make this shot just a little bit more difficult.
Lisa having the most difficult round of all the players, but this is a great opportunity for her. And she leaves it just at the top of the hill, rolls just inside the circle, so she'll be putting for birdie as well. 3 out of the 4 really have a good opportunity for birdie here on hole 12.
Yeah, and with the wind picking up a little bit here, we said these ladies are going to start striking. These ladies are going to start running at these shots, but it could make the putts a little bit more difficult with that extra little thing to think about in the back of their mind. And so who knows how this round's going to end up and how these players are going to fare through the rest of the round.
Yeah, I mean, with Lisa having a tough round like she is, and I don't mean to be really too hard on Lisa, but she is not playing as good as the other 3 players in the group. You can't make it all up on one shot. How is that really as a player? You just have to understand okay, they're going to come get my pars. How do you really deal with that as we watch Vanessa putting here?
Yeah, it's all individual. It's all mental. Some people need to get fired up to get their rounds going. Some people just need to calmly talk themselves through it. I think Lisa's a player that needs to get fired up. She needs to. She's in this position right now where she's going to have a pretty technical putt. It's downhill, little wind at her face.
At her back.
At her back?
Mm-hmm.
So this is the time she needs to talk herself up. This is the time that Lisa needs to step up and build that confidence to get her through the back 9.
Yeah, and she's just outside of circle 1. So very makeable. But just, again, didn't have that power, just a little bit short left. That was a good opportunity for her to maybe just sort of change the flow of the tournament for her. But unfortunately she didn't. And we'll see how she could, continue to move forward. We have Jessica Weiss here for her birdie. And that little Anheuser putt she's got going on, which, I did for years and I love it. Falling out there on the left side. Paige Pierce stepping up here quickly, feeling confident. And she misses it and takes a horrible roll. She actually is now further from the basket than she was.
Yeah, and it's just really entertaining to watch these players and watch them go through this process from the live coverage here. I've seen this for many years being in the group. Let's see how Paige recovers. Just as a champion she does. I almost could have called that. I mean, her experience on the course, she just has so much mental strength that an unfortunate roll like that put her farther from the basket than she was originally putting. She's just so good at instantly bringing yourself back into the game and making those comeback putts. I just think that's so incredible. And I think that's what really makes a great player. If whatever the course throws at you, you throw it right back in its face. And that's what Paige did. And I just think that's so impressive of any player.
So we had multiple opportunities for birdie there, but we ended up with 4 pars, a par frame, as you will. And the players will just move over to the 13th tee pad. I think 13 is also a really good opportunity for a little bit more tricky, I think, with like low branches. There's a bench there and kind of a tricky little green, but another birdie opportunity coming up here on hole 13.
Yeah, and as we go into 13, you'll see where the basket is placed, and we're going to be playing a lot in this low area. It's like a drainage area, so we're going to get a lot more of the basket placement right on a little mound. So it's going to make landing next to the basket really important. Otherwise, it makes your putting really. You just have to be on because you have now this hill that comes into play. This basket is another elevated basket. I'm almost certain because it has been every other year. So this is going to be another tricky hole, but a definite birdie opportunity. If we can get a whole preview, I would tell you about all the amazing things.
Well, and I think it's interesting playing Fountain Hills because the round really happens so quick. These players have been on the course for, just over 2 hours, like 2 hours and 8 minutes. And the round is almost over. And it really feels that way. It kind of feels like, wow, we've played 12 holes. We just have 6 holes left. Really not in that far of a distance of an area. And so they feel the urge to try to get something right at the end here.
And so this is, they're teeing off from a lower area. They have to shoot under a branch and they have to carry the disc. I think it's about 250 feet, and Paige executed that perfectly.
Yeah, we just came out of the studio shot to the actual shot, seeing Paige's disc coming in and landing. Not too far of a putt from where it was on the last hole as well. So we'll see if maybe that second putt really gave her a little bit more confidence. Jessica Weiss executing that shot perfectly. That is going to be a birdie for her. I'm very confident in that. So that's great. That's great to see.
And so it looks like Vanessa's got to wait for a pedestrian. This is another tee pad where it's half tee pad, half on the sidewalk. And as we saw the Paige and Jessica throw, you can't necessarily see it from this angle, but it is such a low shot, and these players cannot see how their disc is finishing. So as they throw it, they have to make sure they're throwing it on the right angle to get that exact skip like that. And there's that drainage area that Vanessa landed in, right a little farther away from where Paige landed, but I think it's still a really good position.
Yeah, and the shot is really so low off the tee that the play is really kind of dealing with the skip, how much skip. And it looks like Lisa's just a little bit inside, which she's going to leave herself short. It's the wider you play it, the more it skips up to the pin. Jessica showing that perfect. And really the way that this area of the park is designed, the top of that hill is really dry. So Jessica skipped it perfectly off that, kind of curling it right up to the basket. But we're going to see 4 birdie putts here, which is really great to see. And maybe we can see a couple more of them go in. We had some birdie opportunities on the last hole, but none of them went in. So let's see how that all kind of plays up as the ladies come up to the basket.
And as we see, this basket is not elevated.
Yeah, it's not elevated. That's a great point. We've seen this basket be elevated in the past, for years in the past, actually. And hole 3 is always one that's been elevated, as well as hole 13. So
that's an interesting change up. I think that makes the hole easier than it has been in the past, because as like the position that who is on the right side of the basket? I think it's
Jessica.
Jessica's on the right side of the basket. And so now she's going to have an easier opportunity to get that birdie. Whereas if you were on the elevated basket, you'd have to putt higher. And if you putt higher and you putt high and miss, you're going down into that drainage area where Paige and Vanessa are sitting. And so that puts you farther past the basket, makes your comeback putt even harder. So I think the change up with the shorter basket, the regular basket on this, is making this hole a little bit easier to play.
Yeah, I mean, always an elevated basket's going to be more difficult, especially when it's man-made like that. So we have Vanessa here. She's, again, very deliberate, has a really consistent sort of preparation for each putt. very focused on her release point and where she wants to hit that basket, and just a little low again.
Right.
We've seen that a couple of times. Uh, and that's really just not elevating that putt. You're not lifting that hand, getting it up above the basket there. Paige stepping up very quickly and making that birdie putt. Didn't want to leave anything to think about.
No, absolutely. That's pretty routine putt for Paige right there. And yeah, like you mentioned about the players' form, and it's so interesting playing all these years and now watching live coverage, watching video. I could watch that player's form without looking at the disc, looking at the basket, and I would know if they're going to make it or not. It's so much about, how they reach and extend their arm. If they're reaching, but then dropping their hand before that putt is fully out in the air and fully going toward the basket, it's likely they're going to miss low.
Yeah.
So I think it's really important that they have that nice extension, nice follow through toward the basket, and that's how you know they're going to make a putt. So you can literally watch their form and see if they're going to make the putt or not.
Right. And, it's just getting that breath, getting the breathing kind of going so that you're loose, you're relaxed, you're able to elevate that hand. We do know that Paige did get her birdie as well as Jessica tapped in her birdie putt. So they're both at 1 over now in the group, and Vanessa is at 2 over, with Lisa Fakis being at 8 over par. Still sort of interesting to see the way that this group has come together in this first round.
Yep, it's nice to see some blue on the UDisc scorecard rather than the yellow. So hopefully we see some more blue highlighted numbers in the next coming holes.
Yeah, and we're coming into hole 14, which I still think is a really tough birdie for probably most of the field. And here we are with the hole preview.
Here we are on hole 14. It's 375 feet. It's a par 3. You'll see that the water is over there on the left, so that's your out of bounds. You also have the sidewalk right before that, which is actually the out of bounds line. The basket is protected by another olive tree and a little electrical box right there. So you're going to see these players crushing their drives out far to the right and bringing those drives in, hopefully giving them an opportunity, a clear look at the basket. And, I wouldn't say that this is necessarily a birdie opportunity for everybody, but big drivers like these ladies, big distance drivers, they're going to be able to give themselves a look, but I wouldn't say it's a gimme.
Yeah, from what we've seen, Paige definitely has an opportunity to birdie this hole. And we now see from behind the player, there's a big low there with the high kind of mound. Paige is going to try to throw it out and land it just on top of that high point and skip it down to the basket. So she's actually on a really nice line here. Let's see how it turns out. Whoa.
That was a huge skip. Wow, but her disc lands safe. Looks like it's a little past the basket, so she's going to have a pretty big comeback putt after that. But I think that was a really great play and fortunate that it skipped off the grass like that.
Yeah, I mean, it had a lot of speed, and she landed right on top of that hill, but a little bit unfortunate. It seemed like she landed in a really dry area versus maybe a little bit more thicker grass where it might have slowed her down a bit. But she'll have a long birdie look. We have Jessica playing a sidearm here.
And I know that she's got pretty great distance with a sidearm and a backhand. So I think it's an interesting choice to choose the sidearm on this shot, because where she landed here, fading off to the right, that tree will come into play. The electrical box will come into play. And so I'm not sure she'll have a good look at the basket from there.
Yeah, I think she was more playing the sidearm just to avoid maybe potentially doing what we're seeing right now, which is if you don't fully commit to the shot, you can go right down there towards out of bounds. We saw that just sneak, and we see the red flag from back at the tee. So, if you don't fully commit to that shot, you really can put yourself in that position. And, a lot of times players seem to not be able to get over something that might just be stuck in their head. They can just play where Lisa is right now and give themselves an opportunity. That's the safest place to be. Nice, easy position for a layup. Should be maybe an outside possibility for birdie, but an easy par for Lisa on this hole.
No harm, no foul. She's right in the fairway. she's going to have an open look for her upshot. And that's how I've played this hole many, many years. I've never been able to throw it far enough to reach the basket. So knowing that I'm not putting myself in a position where I'm even close to the out of bounds was the biggest goal on this hole, I think.
Yeah, and we're starting to see, just looking over at the UDisc Live, we're starting to see some of the players finishing, and Zoe Andyke has finished her round at even par. Pars are good. She's played all 18 holes in even par, a couple of birdies, a couple of bogeys. But Missy Gannon, who is on the 18th hole right now, is actually 1 under. So she's leading currently. We'll see how she handles the 18th hole, but which is a difficult hole. But it's I think this is a really nice leaderboard up to this point in the tournament.
Yep, exactly. And we can see Paige and Jessica are tied for 6th. So there's plenty of players ahead of them. They're actually, a couple players have finished, but they're heading toward the last few holes. So if these leader card players can start to pick it up, get a few birdies, they're going to make their way to the top of the leaderboard again. But a lot of these players are a nice even round. It's solid out here at Fountain Hills.
Yeah, with just 4.5 holes left, we're sort of lining up to see who we're going to see in the group tomorrow and who we're going to actually see get to play Vista del Camino for the second round. We can see Vanessa lining up what will be her third shot. She was out of bounds. It's a little tough shot. She's got quite a few trees in her way, but she's slid it up there pretty nicely. Should be an easy bogey for her.
Yeah, it's about all you can do at that point. There's not much in her way.
Lisa stepping up quickly, just laying it up, getting that par. Again, pars are good. Lisa's having a tough round. So, finishing strong for her can really, give her a good boost into tomorrow's course. I think gives us an opportunity just to mention tomorrow's course. It is so much different than this course. It just plays longer. Oh, really? We were just told in our ear, and I apologize to everybody out there, but they are actually playing this course twice in a row.
Wow, that's an interesting switch up from previous years.
Yeah, that's a big switch up.
Huh.
I'm shocked. I don't even know what to say. I feel like a complete fool. I've been talking about playing Vista tomorrow, but back-to-back rounds at Fountain Hills, is a big, interesting change for this tournament, which we've seen many variations, 4 rounds, 3 rounds, playing different courses. But Jessica giving it a little bit of a run there. Here's Paige Pierce for her birdie.
You see the wind picking up a little bit. She throws a little grass in the air to check the direction, how strong it's blowing. She's going for it. Wow. That was a very solid run. I'm glad Paige went for that. She had a clear look at the basket and, just looked like it was a little high and left. So that on these Mach 10s, there's a lot of chains. So you have to drill it right into the heart and make sure that is right. Your putt is aiming right at that pole.
Yeah, definitely. On a Mach X, drilling it in there is super key.
And there's another putt. Yep, you can see on the left side, there's not a ton of chains, but right in the heart of that basket, that's where all the chains lie. So unfortunately, the chains did not catch that one.
I think that was our first ever commentator jinx, and we're so sorry about that, Vanessa. But that's just the way it is. They can't hear us, and it shouldn't matter. But sometimes that does happen. So we're going to head over to hole 15 now, which is a pretty long hole. And let's check the hole preview.
Here we go. Hole 15, 426 feet. We're in that ravine there. You can see a little water collection area. One tree in the middle of the fairway, but besides that, it's a big boomer crushing shot. There's OB around the basket and off to the left. But for most of these ladies, that OB doesn't come into play off the drive. Up by the basket, you can see some protection by the palm trees. So that comes into play when you're putting and seeing where you land on your upshot. But again, let's see if Paige can crush this drive and park it. I've said it before. the next tee pad, so that would be hole 16's tee pad, is right behind the basket. And for many years, I remember standing on that tee pad and Paige's drive coming crushing. She'd be on the card behind me. She'd come crushing and crashing into the tee pad. Unfortunately, out of bounds, but she can throw that far. So this is an opportunity for Paige to show off that drive.
Well, and I appreciate that clarification that you weren't in the same group as her, because otherwise she'd be really far behind you. But I know what you're saying, and actually, I would beg to differ. I'm sure you were mostly in the group, but we know exactly what you're saying. She can throw it up to the basket. It's a hole that's over 400 feet. This used to actually be the old hole 18 of this course as we play now. I love that they changed it. We talked a lot about this last year, but I like that they changed it around. I think the new 18 is just a great finishing hole. But I do want to, we're back in the studio here, and I do want to apologize. I should have known that they were playing Fountain Hills back to back. I really should have looked that up. So I'm apologizing to all the people out there, but I think that actually really changes the way that this whole tournament is played. I think just from a strategic standpoint, just because the courses play so different. So, I mean, how do you think that might affect really, the players who might get a little bit confidence early, and then we're just going to change it all up and play somewhere completely different for 2 more rounds?
Right. That is interesting, because normally it's the back and forth between Fountain and Vista. From a handful of years, they had the final round actually at Fountain Hills, and we had talked about this. So we did our research knowing that the final round was at Vista this year, like last year. We're looking at a chase card action right here, but yeah, I think it's a really interesting flow of they're gonna get this redemption tomorrow. So, we see Lisa out here. She's not having a great round today, but that can completely flip-flop tomorrow. I like that immediate redemption that you can have on a course by playing it back to back like that. So I think that's going to be a different swing up. So maybe the scores are going to be a little bit more consistent, be a closer race starting in these first 2 days. But once we switch over to Vista, it's going to be a different story. It's a different course, a little bit more challenges out there. So I think day 3 is where the action's really going to take us for a swing.
Yeah, we're here looking at the second card. This is Sarah Hokum. Sarah Hokum's 2 over for the round. She actually has 3 birdies, and she double bogeyed the first hole. So she's at 2 up. Paige Bierkes also in this group is at 5 over. So they're not playing as well as they would have liked. But again, as you just explained, tomorrow some redemption might come their way. And, I'm going to have to really wrap my mind around this over the next few hours before we get to this afternoon's action, really just thinking about these players playing this course back to back and what that might do over the length of the tournament. Paige just missing that putt. Really tough green here. This is going to be good for our feature card to see how this green plays. Depending on what side of the basket you're on, those palm trees can really affect things. So,
yeah, I'm not sure what that putt would have given her right there. I don't think that first putt that she did, I don't think that was sitting at her drive. So that could have been a bogey for Paige. I see that popping up on the UDIS live now. She's not getting a hot finish this round, but we just saw the chains moving and a roll, and she redeems herself right there. Good job, Sheila.
It's always tough for Sheila. That was a par putt, and then she made her bogey, and that was Lauren Butler there for I'm not sure what that was for again, but yeah, we'll see. So they're clearing the green, and now our featured card will be getting up onto the tee pad and getting ready to play this crushing 16th hole, which I like watching this hole be played by the ladies. I think that it's one of those things that it's really cool to see just some big, really ripping shots. There's really nothing to worry about on this one.
Exactly. Yeah, I think, you just get your drive out there as far as you can. give yourself a shorter upshot so that you can really place that putter next to the basket. And I think all the action really takes place on the putting green. As you saw, there was a lot going on with the second card there. So I think it really is just about that placement of the upshot, and hopefully you're giving yourself a clear look at the basket and giving yourself an easy par putt, because at this point, that's all you really need on this hole.
Yeah, and here we are, Paige Pierce stepping onto the tee of the 15th hole. And again, 400 plus feet, 426 feet. And we can see now we're starting to get things figured out. We've got our scorecard up there for you guys. But she's just going to pull back and throw as hard as she can. And it's in the air, hitting on that left side.
And watch out, chase card. Didn't I just say this? I've seen this move before. Unfortunately, Paige is out of bounds. She's even with the basket, wouldn't you say? But she's off to the left of it. She'll have a clear look at her putt.
One of the things we just noticed, and we should remember this for tomorrow, I really like this play from Jessica. This is a beautiful drive for her. You know, Paige, while she's a big thrower, it can get you in trouble. She landed up on the flat. Again, we're in that low area, hit the flat just like on the last hole, took that big skip, unfortunately, taking her out of bounds. So now we have Lisa on the tee.
She didn't get over on that. I know she wanted to turn that over. She's risking being over on the left. I know there's a sidewalk over there out of bounds. I don't see anybody.
Yeah, I don't think she was anywhere near out of bounds. She just didn't finish that shot. She just didn't really just get into it and throw it. She's really short. And here's Vanessa. This is a good-looking shot, a little bit too much turn. And we can see the dirt there. We must have had quite a bit of water come down over the last few months here over the wintertime in the Fountain Hills area. The area that they're walking in right now is a water retention area. And just years ago, we saw that area completely filled with water, delaying the final round. And, when it rains, it pours in Phoenix.
Yeah, and that's where all the water is going to collect. So I wish we could throw some video from those rounds, because that was unbelievable. I mean, you're in the middle of the desert, and we were basically in the lake.
We were underwater. Yeah, we were underwater.
I mean, they had to recover. So they were getting pallets from nearby stores so that you can make bridges to go across that area, and that was just unbelievable. All casual water, though, so that was fortunate. And which all these puddles, that's just you got to play into them. That's not out of bounds, even though these puddles are collecting.
Yeah, we can see the players just communicating here, Lisa.
Yeah, the new.
Lisa's drive was really far to the left there, actually putting her in the fairway of the next hole. So I think she was just letting the other players play and before she steps up, which is the right way of doing it. You always want to let the group ahead of you play before you would play.
Yeah, absolutely. Otherwise, you're just waiting on them on the next hole. So that's just common courtesy on the disc golf course. So I'm glad Lisa's recognizing that and letting the players in front of her play through. So it looks like we have a little bit of a backup. These ladies are waiting, taking in the spectating.
Yeah, you could just see that. And we just kind of caught it. Sheila Kirkham was throwing, and then we had Lisa on the other side. So they were really close to each other. But we can also see that 16 is an elevated basket. So we're going to just sort of kind of look to try to figure out what's going on here. Well, this is actually the second card. And now we're over here with Vanessa. So here's Vanessa's second shot from the mud, from the low. Takes a little kick and a roll back. She'll still have an inside the circle putt for par, but it'll all depend on how those palm trees line up.
Absolutely. I think her drive was in a nice place. Like I said, it's all about that upshot and getting your disc next to the basket. And so Yep, she hit the palm tree, rolled her farther away than she needs to be to feel comfortable, but I'm sure she'll make up for it.
And here's Jessica after that. Really, really, I think it was a great drive. A little bit of a tentative upshot there. She would have loved to have just been in tap in range, but she'll have a circle 1X putt still. I think that's probably about 15 feet for her par. Paige is just working her way with her caddy up to where she did cross the cart path, and they're just trying to still figure that out.
Yeah, you hyzered in. Because at any flex, hyzer. Yeah. Like here, where at, Lance? Yeah. Here?
So these players always want to try to get the most accurate mark. It's important that we all play within the rules, and Paige did that. She asked quite a few people that saw what happened, and so now she's got this long, long look for par.
I don't know. I hope you guys are placing bets on if she's going for this or not. Looks like she might be. She called it. That was an incredible putt to go for. I mean, there's no OB behind the basket, but it is a drop off. She misses that. She's going 20 feet behind, and who knows if she's pinned behind a palm tree, but it doesn't matter. Paige goes for it, saves her par. That was an incredible putt.
Yeah, we don't have a sponsor for it just yet, but that was the shot of the round for me. And especially we heard her call it almost immediately out of her hands. So that was cool to see. And here's Vanessa for her par. And this is the kind of energy we want to see, the group cheering each other on. That was a much better putt from Vanessa than obviously that short on the last hole. Here's Jessica again for that about 15-foot putt. Steps up, makes it, no problem.
Building on that momentum. I mean, we're on hole 15, but I feel like we all just woke up after that putt. That was a great excitement builder. I'm glad Paige went to that. No, it's just on that right line. I mean, that was good.
And we're gonna get a look here at the scores. And I was just about to mention this, but Missy Gannon did actually bogey the 18th hole, putting her at par. Evelina from Finland is at 1 under with 1 hole to play as well. So let's see if she can par that, get somebody under par. But look at those scores. I mean, the top, 9 players all within just a couple of strokes.
Yeah, we see Haley King coming up into that leader card right there at 2 over. But again, everybody, it's a really tight race. And yeah, there's a lot of trouble to get into out here at Fountain Hills. So we'll see how
and here we go.
Plays out.
We have hole 16.
327 feet. It is a double mando. So you see that red tape on the palm trees. You have to shoot in between the palm trees. There's not a ton in the way once you pass those palm trees. And I think these ladies are going to give themselves some nice putts. It's a definite reachable hole for the FPO lead card. And so I think it's another scoring opportunity that they can give themselves. But I think just narrowing in that double mando is a new addition to the course. So I think that really you have to have the distance and accuracy. And so I think the double mando is kind of a head game it gives you.
A couple of years, they actually moved this tee pad. So this tee pad used to be on the other side of the path. We're actually still on the 15th hole side of that path. And so that's why they ended up with the double mandatory. And, we can see Paige is just still waiting for the green to clear and a few things to clear out of her way. But, in my opinion, Val, this is an absolute must-get hole. I mean, at 327 feet with really not a lot in the way, somebody like Paige, this should be a birdie.
Yeah. This new tee pad does give you that opportunity to throw a hyzer. Where the other tee pad was, you had to throw a straighter shot, which made it a little more difficult to get that distance and get your disc up closer to the basket. See, Paige wasn't as close as you would expect her to be, but there's nothing in her way. She's going to be running that putt, so no problems there.
Yeah, players of this caliber, the mandatories should mean almost nothing at this point. This is just a grip it and rip it, play for that basket, try to park it. This is a beautiful flying shot. We had a great view from the camera guys there. and a really great result.
That was very, very nice drive by Jessica.
So they actually took the elevated basket from the 13th hole that we would have normally seen and put it here on the 16th hole. I actually kind of like that change. This basket always sat in a really weird place. And I believe that was a missed mandatory for Lisa. I think it just went in just inside that tree.
Yeah, this hole, even though it's flat, wide open, there's not a ton to aim at. So really, you just need to play it nice and wide and safe, like Vanessa's doing right here.
Vanessa keeping it low, getting quite a few skips. Is that going to put her up? Yeah, that'll put her up in birdie range. So we have three possible birdies here on the 16th hole.
Yeah, and I remember teeing off on this hole, and as flat as it is, you're actually really surprised with, where your shot might end up because you can't really see how it finishes. So where you expect you might be parked on this hole, you step up and you end up with a 30 footer. So I always think that's such a weird thing in your mind when you're like, all right, that felt like a really great drive. I'm going to be right there. But then you end up with this huge putt, this huge tester putt now on an elevated basket. And that's really tough to deal with right before you're about to make that putt.
Yeah, definitely. And if we can see here, we'll move to behind the players, and you can see now Lisa is setting up from the drop zone. So she did miss the mandatory on this hole, and she threw a nice little upshot there. Right? That was a good recovery. She's going to get a bogey, sort of a drop in bogey here, but really just sort of a really unforced error to
Yeah.
miss that mandatory.
Yeah, that's definitely not what she needed. And I know she's not happy with it, but if you got to take it from the drop zone, I think she executed that shot good. And yeah, you're just gonna get your par and move on. Your bogey, sorry, and move on.
Yeah, so we're back in the booth here as we get our cameras set, and I got to say, through almost 16 holes, I've had a lot of fun today. So far, we have a lot more to go, but it's something that we just have to sort of get our groove, and as well as these players are getting their groove, and so now we can see right behind Vanessa's a great look at her putt and her sort of deliberate, style.
Reach. Ugh.
Elevated basket coming into play there. That was a beautiful looking putt, just a little bit short. She's going to want that one back. I can guarantee it.
I think the elevated basket, you sometimes feel like you already made it until it hits the front of the cage.
Yeah, you're just reaching in your mind going, oh, just go.
Again, just slightly low on that one. Skips off the basket. It's just tough to judge these. I mean, when you start to get the flow of the basket at its standard height, and then you're forced to change up your putting style to reach for these elevated basket, it's a difficult challenge.
Well, and real quickly, how hard is it to putt really in a wide open area like this?
Yeah, it can be challenging. And then imagine now you're looking up in the air, you see the cars driving by, you're looking so much higher with more distractions in your way. So I think that can come into play too.
And we didn't mention, but Jessica did birdie this hole, putting her at par. We're going to take a quick look at these scores and notice that even is going to be a very popular score at this point. Evelina
Wow.
did actually bogey the 18th hole. She's in at par. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in at par with Jessica at par as well, and Paige just at one over. So we can almost see a reset tomorrow with a bunch of ladies being at par. This is really cool to see.
Yeah. It looks like 6 players. Paige is at 7th place right there, but 6 players tied for even. And it could be really cool. I mean, we could get some new names on that lead card tomorrow, which will be really fun. And I mean, we'll see how these ladies shot the nice even round when we commentate tomorrow morning on the same course.
Yeah, I think we're going to see some better scores tomorrow, assuming that we have good weather, and we hope that we do. And we're going to, just sort of we have 2 holes left here to play, and we're on 17. Let's take a look at it.
All right, I love this hole. This is hole 17, 468 feet. We're teeing off from near the road, and it's a downhill shot toward the fountain, and it's a big crusher. You want to have a huge drive on this. For me, I'd like to get it as far as I can, throw my upshot under the basket, and as you can see, the basket is placed perfectly between the palm trees right there, slightly behind it. But as I saw Paige throw it last year, she was even with the basket and putting for a birdie on this hole. So let's see if she can do it again. But otherwise, let's crush this hole. I'm excited to see how they play it.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the most picturesque holes in disc golf, really. I know we see a lot of homes and things like that, but there's the mountains in the background and the fountain really going off. This is a little action from the second card, just short on that putt. I'm guessing that was for par. Either that was a big drive or that was for par. And we see Sarah Hokum lining up a putt as well. But yeah, it really just is so pretty. Look at how calm the lake is. These players, they need to take advantage of these conditions. This is what you kind of hope for and dream for when you're looking for that great round.
For sure. Yeah, it's frustrating when you can't get things going when the conditions are pristine. There's no wind, there's nothing, no other elements affecting you except for your brain getting in the way. So that's the only thing stopping these players from shooting the hot round at this point. And there's Paige tapping in. And so I know the players on the tee, not all of them could reach the hole, but we're waiting for these players to clear out. I think it just makes for a better picture. So I think that's what they're waiting for.
Well, and I wanted to mention we were looking at the scores before we saw Jennifer Allen's name kind of pop up in there. Just looking at her scorecard, she actually did what you said. She had 3 birdies on the back, 1 bogey, but shooting 2 under on the back, 2 over on the front for that even par score. So she might be one of those people we see tomorrow on the lead group. We'll see how it all plays out, who gets on that top card. But yeah, I just wanted to mention that she was one of those players that really did pretty darn good on the back.
Yeah, and she's actually she just moved to the Phoenix, Scottsdale area, so she's a local. So I'm sure she's been getting in some rounds on these courses. Moving from Oklahoma, I know the Oklahoma weather isn't always doesn't always play well. So I think she's enjoying being a Arizona resident now.
So we have from the previous hole getting birdie. Jessica Weiss has the tee, has the honors, the nice little flip. And boy, I have to say, Val, I like the way her disc flies in the air. She just has a nice, clean release with that turnover and flex back. I think it looks really good.
Yeah, I looked at her player profile and I saw that she likes throwing the Shrike, which is a high speed distance driver. I believe it's understable, so she's able to get over on that disc, get all the distance she can out of it, and I think that's so important on this hole especially.
Yeah, we see Paige lining up those little steps and just giving it her all. This is flying beautifully, and we can see it skip down.
Holy cow. Past the basket
Past
right
pin
there.
high, yeah.
That's a huge shot. Again, we said it's 468 feet. Downhill, but still plays all of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Vanessa Van Dyken getting over on it just a little bit, but it's still going to flex back and give her a little skip at the end.
Yeah, she's sitting fine. It's all about that upshot. Get that par, and she'll be fine.
Yeah, I think at this point, if you're these players, I really feel as if you had a great opportunity for a birdie on 16, and here's Lisa just with that early release again, but getting over on it just a little bit more, but still on the left side of the fairway. We've seen her do that quite a few times already today. But, if you're these players, you've had a great opportunity for a birdie on 16. 17 and 18 are tough holes. I think pars would be good just to get into the clubhouse with whatever you had after hole 16 would be a big bonus.
Mm-hmm. I would agree. Yeah. All the troubles almost behind you at this point. You're on the home stretch. And yeah, it's been an up and down kind of round for a lot of people. I see Paige's scorecard there, and it looks pretty clean at this point. 2 holes to go. She's got 2 bogeys, 1 birdie. I mean, that's as clean as it can get out here. I see Vanessa's got a little bit more yellow on her card, but I think she's been playing a very consistent round, and I think her strategy and the methodical way that she sets up each shot, I think that plays really well to keeping your mind game into it and keeping your shots in the center of the fairway where they need to be.
Yeah, for sure. And I would say at this point, sort of just looking at the scores, Paige Pierce is going to, have an opportunity for a birdie on this 17th hole. And let's just say that she were to birdie one of the last two, she would end up at par. And if Jessica were to par out, that would put 7 players at par, which is just incredible. I mean, it's awesome to see those types of scores from these women, and it's just sort of all over the place. Missy Gannon, Maria Olivia, Zoe Andyke, Jen Allen. It's just awesome, Evelina. So it's great to see these consistent scores, and I hope that it stays that way for the entire tournament.
Yep, the closer the battle, the more hard fought the win. So let's not let Paige run away with this one this year, ladies. I see that tight race holding up through the end.
Yeah, and I think, I said it in the beginning of the show. I always feel as if Paige is playing against herself, and really all the players are. But, Paige is definitely, she's multiple time world champion, one of the greatest players of all time. So it's just great to see the confidence from some of the other players to step up and shoot these rounds. And we saw a lot of really great rounds be shot in Vegas as well. So the confidence is definitely running high for sure.
Speaking of confidence, I think this is another putt Paige is going to be running for. Who's throwing down their bets? I want to see a birdie so bad on this hole. I mean, last year, well, you'll have to look at the footage, but yeah, we didn't see a birdie last year. Spoiler alert. But I love that she's putting herself in the position to get one. I think that's just so impressive. And I know she's disappointed she didn't get it as well, but we got tomorrow.
Yeah, I think one of the big things really for Paige is just being patient, and looking at her scorecard. She has 2 bogeys and 1 birdie. It's pretty consistent golf, I would say. And those bogeys were just sort of, just weird random things. And we had an OB early for her, but she makes that little comeback putt, which is good for her. And now we have Lisa lining up for her par putt.
And it looked like the palm tree was a little bit in the way of that putt. I think it nicked it a little bit, probably shot it off the intended flight path a little bit.
Well, and there's actually 2 palm trees there. I think she had to try to go in between them. And really that's just an error from the fairway, putting herself in a bad position and not allowing her to make that next putt. So got 3 pars and a bogey here on hole 17. And we're going to head over to 18, which is, I think, really the signature hole for this course.
Yeah, and I just remember finishing up on this hole when this was the final round, and this is just such a daunting hole. Now they've elevated the basket. I mean, they're making this hole a little bit more difficult. Last year, actually, for the women, they shortened the basket, which I thought was a great play. This hole is 400 feet, so it's right at the cusp of the farthest player's throw. But I don't know. It's always been scary for me. There's so much OB on this hole, and as you see these players clean up, we're going to go back to the tee pad shortly and see how these lead card ladies finish up. They're still not out of the clear yet.
No, we're back here in the studio. We were just looking at the 18th basket there. To me, we did see them shorten the hole last year. I think it oversimplified the hole a little bit more. I mean, these are the best players in the world. They should be challenged with the most difficult holes to play. And while maybe this is only a birdie opportunity for just a couple of players in the field, it's one of those holes that played in the proper way. Par shouldn't be that difficult, and you should be able to do that. But of course, the water brings in a big aspect of that not being so easy. And we're just seeing all the players back on the tee pad getting ready. I remember standing on this tee pad, and you're right near the water, and just it's running through your mind, running through your mind, running through your mind. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah,
they
yeah.
can
People
push
from
through
Maine.
that and
Yeah.
just play the shot. It should be no problem. But
High fives all around.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Blades are ready to finish up this between. Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right, let's do this. Jessica's stepping up on the tee.
almost 11 o'clock local time for these ladies. They'll have a whole afternoon to do what they may. I'm sure some will be out watching the other players, watching the men's players. But they'll have a whole day to think about what they're going to do tomorrow on this exact course. Jessica Weiss with the tee. Beautiful shot.
That's a great shot. And you were mentioning the hole from last year. I think she would have been parked where the basket placement was last year. So I did think it was a good position, just touching back on that. But this one forces the players to get a little bit closer, make that up shot really easy, and walk away with that par. That's what you want.
And we'll see what Paige Pierce does here. That was a great shot as well.
Wow. She took a huge bite out of that. I mean, she played her drive over the water more than I would feel comfortable with, but she turned it over enough that it carried over the land a good amount of ways. And yeah, she's going to have a run at a longer putt, but she's safe, and that's really all that matters.
Yeah, safe on 18 is really, as you said, all that matters. And I think Vanessa playing I think that the play we would see from most of the players playing a nice little hyzer, never giving over water. So nice to see her throw that shot. Let's see if Lisa can finish off here with a nice final tee shot. And again, try to build some momentum for tomorrow.
That was a nice follow through. That was great. I think she had a great follow through on that. So her disc was able to fly and penetrate a little bit farther. We saw her sawing off some shots in the previous holes, and that is not what you want to do on this last one with OB water on the left. You'll see these players walking alongside a sidewalk pathway on the right. There's lots of OB surrounding this hole, so playing right in the middle is really important. And yeah, I like the conservative play that Vanessa did, playing over the fairway, the grass, the whole way.
In the
I
field.
think that's the safe shot to play.
Yeah, I do as well. And really, as we see the players walking up, there's this grouping of trees, and these trees were the ones where the basket was last year. And I felt as if for a final hole, it was just a little bit too easy, but we'll have to agree to disagree on that one. And we see the leader card there. Again, the 6 players at par. We have 1 player of those 6 still left on the course, and that's Jessica Weiss. We also have Paige Pierce at 1 over par. So I think tomorrow's lining up to be another great day. Quick upshot there from who was that? Is that Lisa?
I believe it was Lisa, yeah.
Okay. So that was Lisa there with that quick little upshot. Beautiful upshot. She's going to have an easy par.
I always thought this was a really difficult upshot. The basket now is elevated, but it sits on a side hill with gravity feeding you right toward the out of bounds. So you want to play it a little off to the right to stay up higher on the hill and give yourself a nice flat footing so you can make your putt. And you want to get it really close to the basket. You know, this is the last hole, and so you want to finish solid. You want to get that putt over with. And it sounds like we might have lost the camera feed. So we'll wait till the feed comes up, but hopefully we can get it back.
Yeah, so we were just listening in our ear from our producer Johnny V, and we've lost all the cameras, which is unfortunate. Again, just everybody out there, bear with us. We're trying to do the best that we can. I would say we saw 17 and a half holes, and I thought we saw some up and down play. And actually, we really saw 17 holes because we only saw the first half of hole one.
Yeah.
But I thought we saw some up and down play. Let's get your last thoughts on how these ladies played for this first round.
If you want to pull up the cards for me, that would be awesome. I mean,
Sure.
I feel like we pretty much watched them finish this round. With the way Vanessa's playing, I'm sure she's gonna slam this putt for par.
Which she
I
did.
know that, and it just came up. That's just real life.
Oh,
fast.
well, there's that as well.
So yeah, I think Vanessa had a very solid round. I see Paige just carded a 3. We're waiting on Jessica. I know she had one of the closer shots, so we're waiting for her score to pop up. But if she cards a 3, she's right up there in the top amongst the best scores of the day, which is a 56. So yep, she just carded a 3 right there. And yeah, that's beautiful. So that is even or 1 under? That would be even for the round. So 56 is an even score. Jessica, we shot that. We have Vanessa Van Dyken's scorecard pulled up at +4. Paige Pierce, she shot a 1 over. Still a very solid round. Look how clean that scorecard is. That was amazing. Here's Jessica Weiss's card. A little more colorful, but even. That's how you get even. Lisa Fakis, a little more trouble out there. Found herself out of bounds. Her drives just weren't on point, as I know she would want them to be, not giving her the opportunity to score or make those putts and show off that great putting style that she's got. So that's unfortunate for today's round, but it's still the first round of the Memorial Championships, and I know we got 3 more rounds left, so it's just the beginning.
Yeah, so as Val said, we do have 3 more rounds left. We will have live coverage of the women and the men for all of the rounds, and we'll be right here with you along the whole time. So we're really excited about that. We appreciate you following us for this morning first round coverage of the 2019 Memorial Championship presented by Discraft. Same time, same place for the ladies tomorrow morning, same course as well. But we'll also be here this afternoon. Check back in. We'll have featured card coverage of the men, and we're really excited about that. So enjoy your middle of the day, and we will see you a little bit later.
Thanks for joining us.